Well, good afternoon and welcome back to my kitchen table. My goodness me, didn't we have a fantastic event in Spain? That's where we were, weren't we? In Spain just a few days ago. But really, okay, we're all talking about Chris Meek and what a wonderful performance it is. And maybe I'll come back to that later on in the kitchen table. But still the talk around the service park is about driver moves. It's about where we're going to find in particular Sébastien Ogier in 2018. Let's start with what I think we might hear this week. Certainly, if not this week, then next week. And that's that I believe that Ott Tänak is off to Toyota. Now, Ott came out and said a few weeks ago to David Evans from Autosport magazine, look, I want to stay at M Sport. I want to be the #1 driver. I've developed this car. It works for me. I feel comfortable in the team. And I can believe all of that. But at the end of the day, money talks. And I suspect that Mr. Mäkinen has offered Ott Tänak a fair wedge of cash and perhaps a 2, maybe 3-year deal to go to Toyota. And that in itself, you can imagine, would be very, very attractive. There's a huge amount of uncertainty around M Sport in terms of, the involvement of Ford Performance, the ability, I suppose, to pay the higher wages, the ability to attract money for future development of the car. You look at what Mr. Wilson's done this year at M Sport and it's quite the most remarkable job. And I can see why Tänak would be tempted to stay there. I can also see why he's been tempted to take the money and go to Toyota. But here's the thing, I think it's a gamble. I think it's a big, big gamble. For any young driver, particularly a young driver with a young family, security is important. But for any young driver, the most important thing is ambition. These drivers all want to be world champions. What are the chances of Tänak being world champion at Toyota? Well, on the face of it, they're pretty good. The car looks strong at times. It also looks very vulnerable at times. Latvala has now had 4 consecutive rallies where the car's let him down. He's the man that drives it at 100%. You look at Juho Hänninen, and okay, Hännenen's times were quite remarkable in Spain at the weekend, as they were, it's fair to say, in Germany. But the man who is absolutely pushing that car to the max is without doubt Jari-Matti Latvala. And the man who pushes the car beyond what it's capable of giving him is Jari-Matti Latvala. He tests that car to the limit. And sometimes the car's up to the challenge, but unfortunately, the last 4 rallies, the car very much hasn't been up for the challenge. So, will Tänak look at that and say, whoa, geez, we know it's quick in certain circumstances. The thing is, he knows the M Sport car is quick on every rally. The M Sport car is solid on every rally. So there's a gamble from Tänak's point of view in that regard. I think, perhaps as #1 driver at M Sport for a year, he has his greatest chance of winning the world title. It's a difficult one though, isn't it? It's a difficult one for the young man, it really is. As I say, my understanding, what I've been told from a source very, very close to the negotiations, is that Tänak has gone. Tänak signed, he's off to Toyota. The other part of the gamble, other than the car, Toyota will get that car right, don't you worry about it. There's a huge amount of investment going into that car. And don't forget, clearly, this year was always intended as a development year for Toyota. It will come good, they will find the reliability. Question is, will they find the reliability and will it still be able to deliver that ultimate pace? That's always the difficult compromise. Reliability and pace. It's really quite easy to build a strong car that will get you through every rally, but it's very difficult to build a strong car that will get you through every rally and will allow you the opportunity to win every rally. And that is what M Sport have done this year. And you'd have to argue, possibly the only team that's done that. Actually, it's not difficult to argue that, is it? They are the only team that's done that. On the podium every single rally this year. Absolutely walking away with the manufacturers. Back to Tänak though, and Tänak's gamble. So the car is one part of that gamble. The other part of the gamble for me is the Finnish connection. It's the Finnish project, isn't it? The Toyota team. Really, you look at that whole setup with Tommy Mäkinen Racing, with Toyota Gazoo Racing, and the Toyota World Rally Team as it is now. And really nearly every single position of seniority within that setup is occupied by a Finn. Now Tanak's going in there as potentially going in there. It's not confirmed yet. And listen, my source is good. I'm telling you, it's good. But Tanak's going, let's say he is going. Tanak's going in there as an Estonian. Now, clearly there is a link there because Tommy Mäkinen is setting up a base in Estonia. And it's not far, it's across the water, isn't it? But he is the outsider. You know, the team will more than likely be Latvala, Lappi, and Tanak. How's he going to be treated? He'll be treated well, he won't be treated badly. But will they favour the Finns? I think that'll come naturally, and it will happen. And that might frustrate Tanak in a little way. We'll have to wait and see. I think it's a gamble. As I say, what I would be doing, what I would be doing doesn't really matter. But I can see the attraction of staying at M Sport. I really can. I don't think it's going to happen. But I can see it there. Problem is, he puts a huge amount of pressure on himself if he stays at M Sport. Listen, M Sport are, they're the stayers of the World Rally Championship. But right now, it's very much year to year. So if Tanak stayed, 1 year deal, that's his shot at it. Okay, I'm going to win the World Championship with M Sport. And then everyone will want me. Well, will they? Will they want him? Probably. Will there be space for him? Maybe at other teams, who knows? I can understand. If he has signed this deal with Toyota, I understand it entirely. Young family, ambitious driver. He's looking to be around the championship for another 10 years at least, I'd have thought. And this is his best chance. So, yeah, good luck. If you have gone to Toyota, good luck out to Tanak. I'm sure you will win many, many rallies in your future career with Toyota. But let's then talk about the man that really everyone wants to know about. It's Sébastien Ogier. Well, what do we know about Ogier? Well, we know that he is talking to everyone bar Toyota. We don't know that. We don't know that. We're assuming that Toyota are sorted. So we're assuming that Ogier is not talking to Toyota. But we do know as fact that he is talking to Citroën. He has talked with Hyundai, and for sure he's talking on a daily basis with Malcolm Wilson. Let's start with Citroën. Some very strange things going on still at Citroën. The car looks magnificent. You ask any of the drivers who started Rally Spain, if they had a free choice of the cars after Rally Spain, which would they take? Every single one of them would say that Citroën. It was magnificent. It was blindingly fast in the hands of Chris Meek. He was also remarkably good. The Citroën looks great on tarmac. How's it going to look on gravel? Well, if I was Sébastien Ogier, I would wait till after GB, till I was making my mind up. I really would. I really would wait to see whether they've made progress. I don't expect that car to be a winner in GB, but you want to see that it's made progress from the undrivable car that we saw on other rallies. Listen, it was still pretty difficult to drive last time we saw it on gravel in Finland. It was certainly very, very difficult. In Poland and Sardinia, it was almost impossible to drive. I would be waiting, if I was Sébastien Ogier, just to see how that has come on. And there are some other questions around Citroën. I spoke to a number of people within the Citroën camp, and the one thing that kept coming up was money and budget, and that we can't afford him. I find that strange. I find that really strange, and I'll tell you why I find it strange, if that's the case. To be honest with you, I don't believe it. I don't believe that they haven't got the money, and this is why I don't believe it. Yves Maton has been very, very clear, really for the past month or so now, 6 weeks maybe, that his number one priority in terms of drivers next year is to add Ogier to his starting lineup. Now, he wouldn't do that if he didn't have the budget, would he? I would love to drive a Ferrari, but I don't. I drive an old blooming Touareg out there. I could tell everyone that I'd love to own a Ferrari, but if I can't afford it, what's the point in me talking about it? That's the same thing for me with Citroën and Yves Maton. I don't believe he would be telling us that Ogier is his number one priority if he didn't have the funds in place to make him an offer that is not demeaning, that is not belittling, that is in the ballpark that we all know that Ogier is looking for. Many millions of euros, and he deserves every penny of it. So will he go back to Citroën if the money's there? If the car is good, I think he might. Even if the money's not quite there, I think he might. I think there's unfinished business at Citroën for Ogier. Remember back to the last time he was there. Remember that very strange boss they had, Olivier Canel, I think was his name, wasn't it? And he was under a deal of pressure. You know, Ogier at the time was very much the rising star of the championship, and he was desperate to keep Ogier within the Citroën lineup. So he signs Ogier to a deal. He's also got Sébastien Loeb in the team, and as part of that deal, remarkably, Ogier managed to negotiate equal footing, equal billing. No number one driver in the team, which, looking back, is just quite remarkable that he managed that. Because you've got a young upstart who really has done very little up to now. He'd won a couple of rallies against I think at the time he was 6 times World Rally Champion. And they were on level footing. It was never going to work, was it? And it got very difficult. It got very acrimonious. It went way above Canel's head to the very, very top of the PSA group. And Ogier left the Citroën family very much under a cloud. I think he might well see that as unfinished business. You know, all these boys, we're all very patriotic. I think he would like nothing more than going back to a French team, driving a French car on French tyres, and winning a world title for a French manufacturer. I genuinely believe that that is what Ogier would like to do. Whether it will happen or not, it's quite another matter, because he's got 2 other options. Citroën is one option. The other option, let's talk about Hyundai. Should we give the Hyundai offer much thought? I think the whole Hyundai thing is very murky. Very, very murky. Listen, they've got, obviously, Andreas Mikkelsen. They've got Thierry Neuville. And they have still under contract for next year, Hayden Paddon and Danny Sordo. Are they about to add a 5th driver to their list of contracted chargers for 2018? Well, it's possible. You know, Monsieur Nondon has said that he has talked with Ogier, that he has made him an offer. It's very odd. It's a bit late in the day for me. It's a bit late in the day. I don't get why, if Monsieur Nondon 3 or 4 months ago knew that he had to strengthen his team, why didn't he make Ogier his #1 target? Why did he sign Andreas Mikkelsen? I don't get that. I really don't get that. Mikkelsen is a good signing, don't get me wrong. But why at this late point is he talking about signing Ogier? Why not do exactly what Maton's done and say, well, look, I'm not interested in anyone other than Ogier? That, to me, would have made perfect sense. Ogier, Neuville, Paddon, Sordo. I don't know which of the 2 I would take. Paddon or Sordo. I know who I would take. Ogier or Mikkelsen, every single time without a doubt. So I don't get it. To me, I think maybe, this is just a feeling, Hyundai are playing a bit of a game here. Maybe even forcing up the price for the other manufacturers, in particular Citroën, of Sébastien Ogier. Don't forget, every single penny that Citroën spend acquiring the services of Sébastien Ogier is potentially a penny that they cannot spend on developing that car and getting it more reliable and faster. Although having said that, let's just quickly go back to Citroën. Because as I said, there's all this talk about whether they can afford them. There is one man within the Citroën camp who certainly can afford them, and that's Sheikh Khaled. And I think that might be where it comes down to. If Sheikh Khaled is willing to spend more of Abu Dhabi's money to secure the services of Ogier, Ogier will go to Citroën. But Sheikh Khaled spends an awful lot of money. He's a fantastic benefactor for Citroën. Huge amounts of money. Citroën quite probably wouldn't be in the World Rally Championship without Sheikh Khaled and Abu Dhabi's money. Will he be persuaded to spend a bit more? Possibly. Is Michel Nondon trying to push that price up? Possibly. I think probably, in fact. From what I hear, there is an offer on the table from Hyundai. But it's not great. What do I know though? That's what I've heard. So I don't think he's going to Hyundai. Genuinely don't think he is. So where else might he go then? Well, he might stay at M Sport. That is what I would love. I would love to see him staying at M Sport. Because that would mean that Ford Performance have got back involved with M Sport. Now, is that likely to happen? Well, it's still possible. I spoke to Mr. Wilson during Rally Spain and he said, Colin, I'm on the phone to them every day. That, oh, a cup of tea in front of me, nearly knocked it over. Let's have a wee sip though. Lovely. Broughty Ferry, that's where I'm from, Dundee. It's a lovely mug. Yeah, he's on the phone to them every day. So clearly they haven't said no yet. A lot of talk about the termination of the Ken Block deal. Remember, he was quite heavily supported by Ford Performance. It was a 5-year deal. That's 4. 5-year deal. 2 years down. 3 years of that deal left. Terminated. That means there's a fair pot of money sitting there. Could that go M Sport's way? Maybe not. You know, there are some things that really work against the Ford Performance link. Ford Performance, from what I understand, really their priority is the Focus and not so much the Fiesta. The Fiesta doesn't really fit in with their plans, but how can you turn down the level of success that Malcolm Wilson is giving them? Surely as a company, Ford Performance can see the value in using that to sell cars. That's what we've got to keep our fingers crossed, because if they come in, then I think Ogier will stay. Because I've said this before, Ogier was on the plane home from Spain on Sunday evening. Didn't come out till quite late on Monday. He doesn't have PR commitments. He doesn't have driver day commitments. He spends a lot of time with his family, and he's a very, very committed family man. If he goes to Hyundai, which I think is unlikely, I think there are some games being played there. But for sure, if Hyundai do decide to get the checkbook out, make him a decent offer, then they'll want blood. And what I mean by that is they'll want his time. And there'll be trips to Korea, there'll be trips to dealerships, there'll be driver days and all that. Similarly, you'll be expected to perform the same things at Citroën, which is why I believe he's holding out to see whether or not Malcolm can make him a reasonable offer for next year. So there we go, that's Ogier. Where is he going to go? Still uncertain. Hopefully, fingers crossed, I shall have a little interview with the man himself tomorrow. So we'll bring that to you later on in the week. Maybe we'll find out a bit more. I doubt it. I am a little surprised, to be honest with you. I will be surprised if anything gets announced before the last round of the season. I will and I won't, because as I say, I think the Toyota deal is done. I think it will be announced shortly. But it's odd, isn't it? You've got drivers within the same team fighting for a world title who tell us before that title is decided, well, I'm off to another team next year. You know, it opens them up to all sorts of potential jiggery-pokery in the last round or two of the season. I'd rather it was just kept nice and neat and honest. Your M Sport drivers till the end of the year. Then you can go and decide where you want to go. Let's win these titles for M Sport without any kind of distractions going on around you. I know that's not real, but that's what I would like to see. It's not happened, does it? So anyway, as I say, hopefully getting an interview with Mr. Ogier tomorrow, and hopefully we will have maybe something more to tell you then, possibly not. So, thoughts from the kitchen table. Ogier, I've not really told you anything. I've told you the various scenarios, but I can't tell you anymore because I don't really know anymore. I don't think anyone knows anymore other than Sébastien Ogier himself. Anything else really to tell you about driver moves? Well, Tanak, we've talked about. Ogier, you know, let's assume Ogier goes from M Sport. What is the deal at M Sport? Who's left? Let's assume Tanak has gone from M Sport. Well, I think it will be Elvin Evans, it will be Teemu Sunninen. We'll have to wait and see who else joins them there. You know, it provides a certain degree of uncertainty. The other drivers, clearly there's a huge uncertainty around the two contracted, but probably without full-time drive next year, Hyundai drivers. We've obviously got Padden and we've got Sordo. I think if Padden stays at Hyundai, and that depends on Ogier not going, because if Ogier goes, you can say bye-bye to Padden and Sordo. But if Ogier doesn't go, I think we'll find Padden will do the full season. Now it might be that that's with the support of Hyundai New Zealand to do 2 or 3 rounds where perhaps Danny Sordo is the point scoring driver. I can't see both of them doing the full season next year, and I can't see both or either one of them doing no rallies next year. I think that our 4 contracted Hyundai drivers will all drive next year. But I also think that Paddon will do the full season. I think Hyundai New Zealand will come up with the money, and that will allow him to do it. There we are. I've rambled on long enough. There's so much more to talk about in terms of the performances from Spain and other bits and pieces. There's the Jock Armstrong story, which if you haven't, I know it's gone around the world, the Jock Armstrong story. Scottish Rally champion 2 times, got himself banned for being a little bit naughty. I write all about that in tomorrow's Motorsport News. You can find that article, I'm sure, online somewhere. But there is lots to talk about, so join us again at the kitchen table, possibly later on this week, certainly at some point next week. As always, thank you very, very much for taking the time out to listen to my ramblings from the kitchen table. It's all on Facebook, it'll be on YouTube as well. There'll even be a little podcast somewhere. Leave comments on the Facebook page or send me a comment on Twitter at Voice of Rally. Thank you very much for joining me again from my kitchen table.